On.
Hello everybody, my name's George. Nat's behind the camera today, so we switched roles. My goal today is to show you the Nat Hive and how it works. I know we've been talking a lot about the Nat Hive, you've probably seen it, but this is our first video where we're going to try to show you how exactly to manage your bees in your Nat Hive. So we appreciate any comments, any questions that you guys have as I go through the video, so kind or unkind, please send them my way. You know, we need the feedback. So this is the Nat Hive. The Nat Hive is a 2-queen hive system. There is a queen on this side, and there's a queen on this side, and there's a central empty chamber that supports the honey tower above. The queen excluder sits here to make sure that the queen on this side and the queen on this side stay on their respective sides. On each queen chamber there's 6 frames that you can remove really easily. So we're going to go through sort of a typical use of the Nat Hive, how to move frames around, and hopefully you'll find this useful. So I got my hive tool, I got my smoker. We're going to just smoke some bees down here. The first thing that we do when we go to manage a Nat Hive is to do a demery every 10 days. The reason why we do the demery is to prevent the bees from swarming and make sure the queen always has enough room to lay. So that's what we're going to be demonstrating today. The first step of a demery is to go into your top box. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to locate 2 frames that have drawn comb that don't have a lot of stores in them, so plenty of room for the queen to lay. We're going to pop our inner cover off. Nice amount of bees up here. We're going to find some frames that we put a light that are relatively empty. This one here looks good. Take the bees off of them. And this one here looks good too. We'll take the bees off of them. Again, we're looking for frames that are relatively empty of nectar or honey and don't have brood in it. So we're going to replace the inner cover here just to keep the bees calm. And we're going to take our smoker and smoke the whole entrance to the lower queen chamber. We've made holes. We think that's what naturally happens in trees, so we decided to replicate that as the entrance. So there's a hole on this side, and there's a hole on the other side for the other colony. This hive right now only has 1 colony, and that colony's on this side. So let's give them some smoke. And we're going to turn down the thumb turns on the side like this. And then we're going to take the roof slide and just give constant pressure and slide it off like so. So you're going to see on the inner cover of this roof slide, there is no burr comb. They just generally don't build there. We don't understand why, but it's really advantageous that they don't. You will find bees clustering up here, whether or not that's for thermoregulation of the hive or whether or not that's a thing about how they feed the brood, I'm not sure. One of the concerns that people had when we were showing people the hive was whether or not the slide would get propolized to the frames. You can see how easily that was to remove. We've never had that problem. The frames sit right in these tangs where the bees can't get into that space to put propolis there. So again, we've never in 3 years had any problems with sliding out this roof frame. So it's always a good idea to make sure the queen's not on there. My queens are marked so they're easy to see, and I don't see any queens on that right now. We have a broodminder temp sensor in there. We've been working with broodminder on some temp sensors to measure the brood nest, and also with some scales to measure weight. So they seem to like it. They seem to be clustering on the temp sensor today. So once I slide that roof off, I can see right away that I have a decent population of bees down there. So I'm pretty sure right off the bat that I'm queen right. if I wasn't queen right, there would not be many bees down there in the brood chamber. So my goal now is to take 2 frames that are in the brood chamber, take them out, and replace 2 empty frames down there. The reason for that being is that the queen doesn't get congested. As I've said, there are 6 frames in each brood chamber. You can use deep frames, you can use medium frames, either ones work just fine. With deep frames, there's 7,000 cells on each frame, so there's 40,000 cells in each lower chamber. The queen lays about 1,500 to 2,000 frames a day, 2,000 eggs a day, so in about 10 days period of time, she's filled half those frames. We recommend every 10 days to go into that queen chamber and do the demery to give her more room to lay. If you do that, we will almost guarantee you that your hive will not swarm. If your hive does not swarm, you will make lots of honey. So we're gonna give them just a little bit of smoke down there, and we're gonna try to find some frames and pull them. Again, working these frames is a little bit different. You're gonna take your hive tool, you're actually gonna go underneath the tang and lift up. It's really easy to do. It's also very easy to work ergonomically. You're right there. You're not reaching over the hive or working at unusual angles. So the first thing I'm going to do is I usually take frame 2 out first. More than likely the queen is going to be on 2 through 5 and not on 1 and 6. As you can see, this is a great frame. She's in there. It's got larvae. It's got a lot of capped brood on both sides. This is a frame that's definitely I'm going to move up into the upper chamber. I'm going to take a quick look for the queen to make sure she's not on this frame. She's not, so we're good. So we're going to put this frame aside here. Then we're going to go to the next frame. We're going to pull it up. We're going to take a look. This frame has eggs in it and uncapped brood. So this is one that she's recently laid on. It's a great looking frame. She's laying nicely. I don't see her on this frame, so this is another frame that doesn't have much room on it, so we're going to move this frame up too. So I've identified 2 frames that I'm going to move up. I'm just going to quickly run through the other 4 frames just to see what's going on. Again, it's relatively easy to do. You're not tearing apart your boxes to manage this. And I'm just trying to see if the queen's down there. So I'm going to take frame number 4, slide it down a little bit, pull it out, take a look. It looks well. Excellent. We're just going to put this aside. And you're going to see I'm just going to easily go underneath the queen excluder, slide that frame over, pull it up. Another frame with nice eggs and larvae on it. I could move this one up too, but I'm just going to move 2 up. The queen's on this one, so I'm good to know that this hive is queen right and she's there. So I'm going to put that frame back. Slide it underneath the queen excluder. I'm going to take the 2 frames that I pulled up from the top, put one in. You can see how I did not need to take apart these 2 boxes. These 2 boxes are full of bees. They're full of honey. I did not need to touch them to get to the queen chamber. I'm only disturbing a small number of bees. Those of you who do demery know that you have to tear down the entire hive to do the demery normally, and the whole hive full of bees is out swarming around you. So this is another advantage of the Nat Hive. So I'm going to put this frame back in here really easily. And then I'm going to put the 6th frame back in there. So again, I've had 6 frames back into the queen chamber there. And I've basically taken 2 frames of cap brood or open larvae out, put 2 blank frames in. She's good for another 10 days. I know she's not going to swarm at this point. I'm going to take my slide roof, so easily just slide it back on. Turn up my thumb turns to keep it in place. I'm going to take my inner cover off, and I'm just going to take the two frames that had larvae and caproot on them and move them to the top. They're really nice frames. So I've completed my Demery swarm control method on this hive without lifting a box. I've opened up, I know very quickly that my hive is queen right. I've opened up my queen chamber. I saw eggs and larvae. I saw a nice number of bees. I took 2 frames out of there. I moved 2 frames up to the top and did my Demery swarm control. My back feels great. I'm not sweating. It's really terrific. In 10 days, I will come back and do the same thing. I will start up top. I will look at the frames I moved up just to be sure that they haven't created swarm cells or emergency queen cells on them. And I will find 2 uncapped frames, bring them down, and move 2 frames of brood back up. I'll do this pretty much every 10 to 14 days during the swarm season to prevent the hive from swarming. If you're running 2 queens, right now this hive is only running 1 queen. If you run 2 queens, we estimate that with a double Demery on this hive, you could have in excess of 100,000 bees in this hive. That's a lot of bees, but if you're not disturbing most of the boxes on this hive, you're not getting exposed to the 100,000 bees. This hive this year will expect to make 150 pounds of honey with using a Demery swarm control. That's more than what you'd get off a traditional Langstroth hive. Again, we hope that some of this was intuitive, and hopefully I did an okay job showing you how to use the Nat Hive. If you have questions or comments, please comment and send them our way. If you want to learn more about the Nat Hive, you can go to www.twoqueenhive.com and see some more. And we hope that that you see the innovation here. We hope that you see the potential for really making your beekeeping easier, less back pain, less lifting, and ultimately we hope you buy a Nat Hive or 2 or 3 and put them in your apiary and see how they work. You know, obviously we're big believers, and we hope that we can convince you to be too. So again, you know, it's been great talking today. Nat's done a great job behind the camera, and I'm sure we'll be in touch some more. So again, please let us know, and let me close this up, and we'll be signing off for today.
Another feature of this hive too, remember George, is that it takes advantage of using all standard Langstroth equipment. Whatever size of hive you currently have, it will work. It will work with deeps, it works with mediums, it works with 8 frames or 10 frames. Whatever you currently own, this hive will adapt to it. You don't have to buy any extra material.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nat. I mean, I think most of the beekeepers that we've talked to have enough material already, and you don't have to get rid of that. You could use that, and it really works great. So again, if you let us know if you run 8 frame or 10 frame, or if you run deep or medium frames, we'll make sure the Nat Hive works for you. Thumbs up.